r/AskReddit. What conspiracy theory do you believe in the most? Have you noticed that every time the government messes up there's a new sandwich at McDonald's, Bill Burr, or a mass shooting? All those DNA ancestor sites are giving the government your DNA for their record. I mean, that's literally how they caught the Golden State Killer, like 30 years later. Marilyn Monroe was absolutely killed by the government. She had to be murdered. Nothing adds up. Too many people in the house at weird times. Too many people mad at her. Too many stories changing. Nothing happens at Area 51. It's a chunk of highly protected land with nothing on it. Like, if you were gonna do shady government things, would you do it in the place where everyone knows you're doing something? Area 51 is just a cover-up for a base elsewhere in the country. The government was behind Throwback Thursdays in order to get people upload pictures they never would have had access to and help them improve age progression face recognition algorithms. Then what about Man Crush Mondays? The government is trying to compile a database of the sexiest men alive, in order to shut down People magazine. The recommended amount to use in laundry detergent cups are 30% higher than necessary. Edit. Thank you stranger for the silver, my very first. The toothpaste commercials show them coating the whole brush in a little caterpillar-sized glob of toothpaste, but really you only need a tiny pea-sized amount. They also only put foaming agents in soap and shampoo to give the user a tactile sensation, and the amount of suds your soap produces is really mostly just for funsies, so you'll use too much at once, run out sooner, and buy more often. It's the surfactants that really have the washing properties. Edit. This random toothpaste comment blew up. Weird. My dad going to the store. Yours too? Thought I was the only one. Daddy issues intensifies. What daddy? Can't have daddy issues if he was never there in the first place. If it helps, you can call me daddy. That our phones are always recording, at least audio, to target advertising of course, but more secret agent things as well. My mother-in-law talking at dinner about how hard it is to train for a marathon now that she is over the age of 55. I get ads all over Reddit, Google whatever that read over 50 and a runner. Check out this random product within 4 hours of the conversation. I know there was a bunch of stuff about this, but I think every company denied it. Could be wrong though. I remember a couple years back I had a pain in the back of my mouth and went to the school nurse and told her I thought it was my wisdom teeth coming in. It was. A couple minutes later, my Instagram Explore page had a bunch of stuff about wisdom teeth removal. That the 2016 clowns were a marketing rouse to promote it, the movie, by reminding people that clowns are scary as S-word. Man, I forgot about that whole clown thing. 2016 was a wild year. The clown thing, the election memes, Harambe. God, those were the days. Don't really believe it as it just makes sense. Last Thursdayism, the theory that the universe was created last Thursday and everything that happened in your life was just put in your head when you were created last Thursday. This one gives me the creeps. Hollywood is a satanic cabal where you become famous once you sell your soul to one of the 9 major studios. You know they all in this S-word together. At some point, TV, movies, music, commercials, anything going over the air or sold on a shelf, is used to keep masses subservient and distract them from real-world problems, within our own lives and externally, that they make us believe are either non-existent or impossible to resolve, or just not talk about them at all, anywhere. Multi-billion-dollar company uses a fraction of 1% of their funds to prop up a celebrity who will go and make hundreds of millions for the studio, make one person rich to create the image that celebrities are worth something, so people can idolize and look up to them. Celebrities are living ads. This was my conclusion, even before that South Park episode. The Satan part is that Hollywood is using the LGBTQ+ movement to kill religion. Not to say that some artists are legit, but they will have to work 100x harder than someone who gets bought out by DJ Khaled or whoever, because now they are pushing someone else's agenda for business, no longer about the art form at all. That rocks are actually quite soft, but they tense up whenever something touches them. This is so sweet, for some reason. Rocks have feelings too, heart. The art world is basically a low-key way for rich people and companies to launder money, which is why the stupidest most odd of paintings randomly go for hundreds of millions of dollars. Nightclubs are great for laundering money. Cash business with cover charges. Inventory management is someone looks at the shelf to make sure there's enough bottles. Employees are paid by tips. Whole lot of trust in the accounting of bars and restaurants. Khloe Kardashian is O.J. Simpson's daughter. Man, I really hope we are in a simulation. Every religion's heaven sounds like a real drag, but I don't want everything to just end. Ideally, one day you'll die, then just wake up in a room, go get a snack or something, then load up another life and go for another spin. Repeat millions or billions of times. That whichever label has Michael Jackson's unreleased songs sells them to current pop stars. It's why there are artists like Bruno Mars and The Weeknd have such similar style and classic sounding pop songs. Never heard this, but interesting and plausible. I will, however, file it in my lowest priority box. LOL. Disney released Frozen so that it would be the top result when searching Disney Frozen and not anything about Walt's head being cryogenically frozen in the Disney theme park. I don't know how likely that is, on either count actually. That Avril Lavigne died in the mid-2000s and her record label hired someone who looked like her to take over her career. That aliens are hiding in the ocean. Think about it. We can go to space, but barely have the technology to explore our own ocean. Don't you think aliens would deem it the perfect place to hide as they study us? All the UFO sightings throughout history are just humans from the future on a time-traveling safari meant to observe how we were in the past. They are supposed to keep out of sight, but because of human mechanical errors there have been hiccups with their cloaking which have resulted in being seen. That's why there have always been so many reports of them throughout history, but there has never been an attack. It's just us. Also the reason why we don't see as many examples of UFOs now even through pretty much everyone has a camera is because people are not that interested in this time period since we already document aspects of human life all the time. I dunno man. If I were a time traveler I'd visit ancient Egypt or the JFK's assassination and not fly around getting my stupid butt photographed in F-word Tennessee in 1981. Psychedelics, alternate neurotransmitters, are listed as Schedule 1 drugs because the government really doesn't want the population to know there is a much bigger reality. Yes, and the fact that when you take psychedelics your mind expands, your consciousness evolves, and you begin to question everything, including the government. They don't want that because it's not in their interests. They want easily controlled and manipulated citizens, not psychonauts conceiving new economies. Have done LSD and can confirm. Hallucination drugs break the simulation. The code isn't designed to handle them. I think some memes are started by businesses as a form of free advertising. The recent Duolingo memes got me thinking more about it. Duolingo wasn't a small app at the time, but it became a lot more popular after the fact. There have been other memes revolving around a particular product brand as well that make me think this is happening on a strategic level beyond some kid thinking it'd be hella funny to do this or that. I'm pretty sure this was happened with the movie Bird Box. It was all over Twitter and other social media before I even heard anything about it from Netflix. That's just a well-made marketing campaign. Hannah Montana and Miley Cyrus are the same person. We got a genius over here. 9/11. You have convinced me. In every city in America, there are 1,000 innocuous buildings. Buildings most people would have little to no reason to visit. Some are buildings that have no signs on them. You think nothing of these unlabeled, nondescript buildings. What a perfect place to hide something, or someone. Nobody is going to be looking for aliens in a squat 4-story office building, or think twice about that secret CIA base next to Chuck E. Cheese. This is very true. My company rents multiple buildings for usage by different departments. Our last building we never paid rent because no one ever checked. Ever. We finally decided to just leave, but there were always cars behind the building but no one was seen. The Chinese government is flooding the US market with cheap synthetic opioids to drug and addict the US population, causing deep and lasting problems across the board in America to make it easier to usurp and buy large quantities of properties. Like Bugs Bunny said, if you can't beat them, join them. Courtney Love had Kurt Cobain killed. He had enough heroin in his body to take out a herd of elephants. He was dead or at the very least unconscious prior to his face getting blown off by a shotgun. I expect people to argue that he had a high tolerance, but the reality is that there is enough evidence, both circumstantial and direct, to show foul play. I suggest you guys watch some old Courtney Love interviews, because people are rewriting history. By far one of the most bat poop insane people to see on TV in the 90s. Someone likes me. We don't need a source to debunk this one, do we? I'm sorry. It's okay.